Impossible pool stunts, a talking stone face, a game show host who's not quite how we remember, and the ultimate 2 hour block of TV programming. That's what's ahead on this episode of Throwbacks with the Technodrome, Nickelodeon Part 2. Stay tuned. Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to our part 2 of our Nickelodeon episode extravaganza. Mr. Duff, Mr. Scales, good to see you as well. How you guys doing?
Feeling great. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Just fine and dandy.
Good. I'm glad.
So we have a couple things that we want to talk about before we get into Nickelodeon. First of all, you might notice that our video and audio has been getting upgraded a little bit at a time. So we're excited. We all have new cameras and new microphones, and we've all had new microphones for a little bit. However, 2 out of the 3 of us were using the microphones plugged in, but not selected on the computer. So basically they've been props. I won't say who those 2 people are.
Who could that be?
One of them is not me. So I mean, you could fill in the blanks, I suppose. But yeah, we're trying to improve the experience overall a little bit at a time. So we're making leaps and bounds here. We also upgraded our page on YouTube. We now have thumbnails for each of our videos.
Like one of these
things. Yeah, but not just one. We have like 40 of them.
Oh,
yeah,
40.
It's because you're this guy. Yeah. Well, like 40 different videos by this point, something like that. Yeah, I put a lot of crap up. But yeah, each of our video types has a new thumbnail. So we have a different thumbnail for throwdowns, for our full episodes, for the real talk, Technodrome follies, etc. And speaking of which, so you might just be listening to this podcast because we are now on Apple and Spotify. So if you prefer to just listen to your podcasts, please go over there and subscribe and download our episodes and
give us a like on there too. Give us a good review.
Yeah, write a review. Tell them how much you love us. And if you don't, you could tell them too. What the hell? Quality control. You gotta do the thing. But we hope that you like what we're doing. But yeah, if you prefer to listen to your podcast on the go, by all means, listen to the audio versions. However, there is incentive, the word that I forgot before we started this. There is incentive to follow us on YouTube as well, because we release YouTube specific content. I have real talk with cast segments where I rant and rave about stuff and try to be funny in the process and hope that everybody thinks it's funny. We have the Technodrome Follies videos, which are kind of comedic skits that we put up. And we have 2 new segments coming up, which my co-hosts might want to introduce themselves. Duff, you have a new segment that we're going to be introducing sometime in the near future. Why don't you tell us what that's all about?
Yeah, I thought why not? This seems to be a little bit of my personality. Have you 2 fellers, or maybe we could have some viewer picks as well eventually when we get like really popular and stuff. Have viewer picks of things that you think I might hate, and we're gonna call this segment Duff's Picks, and picks for Duff, I should say. And basically going through it, and I have to watch whatever you guys pick and voice my opinion on it and give my thoughts on it. However bad it may be, I will watch it, and I have to, and I will, go into a little bit of that, but could be a little bit of fun. It could be, some new profanity and things that might pop out. That's kind of, what I do. And yeah, we'll take it from there and just have some fun with it.
And so to clarify too, it doesn't necessarily need to be something bad. It could just be something that you've mentioned on the show that we
Yes.
know you don't like,
Exactly.
but you'll have to watch it. And I'm very happy that you corrected yourself and didn't call it Duff's Picks, because if I had to rewrite that entire song that I already wrote for you and re-sing it, I'd kill you.
Please
Picks
don't.
for Duff.
Yeah, picks for Duff. Yes.
Yes. And Mr. Scales, why don't you tell us about the segment that you're going to have coming up?
Yeah, sure. So we already kind of did one a couple weeks ago, which was scale snake draft. You know, everyone knows how much I love fantasy sports and sports in general. I wanted to get a little taste of that into our podcast. So you're going to be seeing some more scale snake drafts coming up. We may even bring in some special guests, maybe. So we'll have 4 picks per round instead of 3. If you have any ideas for some drafts you want to see, let us know. We'll give them a shot.
Yeah, it'll be a fun little thing that we're going to have going on.
Yeah, can't wait.
Absolutely. And before we dive in here, I just want to remind everybody to like and subscribe. Like this video, subscribe to our channel, click the notification bell so that you can be notified whenever we have new content coming out.
A 5-star review.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We release at least one video every week, so you're guaranteed to get content from us. Sometimes it'll be more than that, but it'll never be less than that. So click that notification bell. You'll be getting a video almost every Friday, sometimes on the intervening days as well. But all that being said, let's dive into Nickelodeon Part 2. And Mr. Scales, I'm going to let you take the ball and run with it for a little bit, because we're going to talk about something we didn't mention at all last time around, which is Nick Jr.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Nick Jr. It's like makes me feel warm and fuzzy inside. Takes me back to being like 4, 5, 6 years old or something like that, right? Face here. Yeah. So 1988. It's when
Wow.
Nick Jr. officially became a thing. So we were, 3 years old, right around there.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, perfect timing, right? I mean, I think that's why we have such fond memories of it, because it became what it was when we were the age that it was intended for. I remember preschool age, kindergarten age, either watching it before school, or if you had a day off and you stayed home or whatever, watching it in those early morning hours. And there was one show in that initial run of Nick Jr. that they really based, when they started this Nick Jr. thing, they wanted to base it all around this one show. And that show was Eureka's Castle. Do you guys have fond memories of Eureka's Castle?
Eureka's Castle.
It's my castle music box. Yeah, that big giant. R.L. Stein wrote, or I think he might have, I don't know if he wrote the show, he came up with the characters. Did you guys know he was involved with that show?
Not a clue.
Negative.
Yeah, I didn't. I was looking it up on Wikipedia. I was like, wow, I had no idea R.L. Stein. Just
Pretty cool.
earned it some more street cred, right?
Yeah.
One of our favorites.
And like we said in the Halloween episode, that he used to be jovial Bob Stein. So I guess that's a little more in keeping with who he used to be.
Who he was, right? Exactly.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So
Very interesting. I had
Eureka's
no clue.
Castle. Yeah.
Yeah, I watched that too. That was, I think it was the only Nick Jr. show that I really watched or I can remember. And I think, as I've told you guys before, I was I was convinced that whoever did the voice for Batley was so I didn't know who did at the time, but was it Rob Bass? What's DJ Easy Rock and Rob Bass, right? It Takes Two.
Right.
I thought that whoever the rapper is if it's Rob Bass, I thought that's who did the voice for Batman.
Oh, nice. Apparently, some guy named Tom Krupa. He did a lot of voices for Muppets and Sesame Street and stuff, but it didn't say. I couldn't find out which one. So, but I guess he was good buddies with Jim Henson. It seemed like he did a few of the voices on Eureka's Castle besides Batley. But Batley is classic. I think maybe my favorite character on the whole show. He's just he's a nut, right? He's crazy funny.
One of the few that I remember on there.
Yeah.
So Eureka's Castle, fond memories of that. There was some. So at that time when Nick Jr. first started, that was really their only original programming, but they were airing a lot of cartoons that they bought the rights for, and I have great memories of all those cartoons that would air in the morning. Muppet Babies. David the Gnome. Not a cartoon, but the Sharon, Lois, and Bram Elephant Show. Do you guys remember that at all? Skinamarink.
Oh, yeah.
Do?
That's where that came from?
Hate you.
Yeah. That's what that's from. I think it maybe been a Canadian import into Nickelodeon. You know, they love their Canadian
It's a
shows.
pretty
Those
safe
darn
bet.
Canucks.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, Muppet Babies and David and Gnome, two of my favorite cartoons, and I remember getting a lot of hours, spending a lot of time watching those on Nick
David the
Jr. as
Gnome.
well.
All right.
Yeah,
Nice.
Yeah.
great
Yeah, see,
show.
we didn't get cable till early 90s, so I didn't even know that Nick Jr. was around for that long.
Yeah,
And I never watched David the Gnome. My Muppet Babies I watched a lot, and that'll
yeah,
definitely be a topic in a future episode.
yeah.
But I saw that on regular TV. I didn't know that was ever on Nick Jr. That's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
they had like a whole. They signed some kind of deal with Henson, and they had Muppet Babies and a Muppet Show at some point. They'd air them back to back in the mornings.
Oh, okay.
So I don't remember them seeing the Muppet Show as much, but definitely Muppet Babies. Those two of my favorites.
Great show.
Yeah, and then you know, as we got a little older, obviously, like Joe said, Face came in as like the host of Nick Jr. which, yeah, we might have been veering off to maybe
Yeah,
not
that was
watching Nick Jr. when he was
well
coming
past
in,
my
right?
time. Yeah.
Yeah, he irritated me.
They started bringing in a couple other shows right around that time. They'd lost people had lost interest. They weren't having a lot of original content, so they tried to revitalize it, and they brought in Gullah Gullah Island and Allegra's Window, like around 93, 94.
Yeah.
So like I said, we were kind of at the tail end of that, and I have
Yeah.
I have like vague memories of those two shows. So I think it's for like the
Yeah.
next generation of Nick kids that probably love those two.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember them being a thing, but didn't
Yeah.
watch them.
I
'cause
never
like you said,
watched
we were
them.
too old.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
And of course, you know, the legendary Blues Clues came right around that same time, maybe
Oh, yeah.
95, 96. So that generation of kids that were born a little bit after us, I'm sure have fond memories of that all
Why
time.
that generation is so messed up.
Yeah, that was a powerhouse show.
Yeah,
That was,
for
yeah,
sure.
a lot. Yeah. And I'm sure at some point, Scales, you know, you got a Steve reference to Blue's
Oh,
Clues.
yeah, all the time.
Yeah, because
time.
everybody's so goddamn clever. Do you have any other shows on your list? Two just popped into my head. Well, really,
Go ahead.
I remember accidentally watching Maya the Bee once. I don't even know if that was.
Yeah, that was in there. I didn't remember that one too much.
I forgot about that one. Wow.
And then
Jeez.
I don't know why I didn't like this when I was younger, because, you know, I'm a musician now and I loved Raffi, but Capelli and Company was a
Oh,
thing.
was
And
that
it was
him?
just, not Raffi, but it was just another, it was like, you know, a middle-aged guy, I want to say, who played guitar and sang songs to kids. I don't know what my issue was. I think I just thought I was too old for it, or that it was corny in some way, but I feel like it's something I should have liked.
Yeah, I remember the name of that. I can't like picture anything about the show, but I definitely remember the
that
name
one at all.
itself.
If I haven't looked it up, but off the top of my head, he was just a kindly looking middle-aged gentleman with a tremendous mustache.
Nice.
Could be wrong. We'll have to look it up after, but I feel like he was, you know.
That's all you need. Sounds like a winner to me.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That's all
And
I have
now-
on Nick Jr.
So just one more thing, because
Yeah.
we mentioned Face,
Yeah.
and we didn't mention this last time around, but Stickly.
Oh yeah.
But I don't think he was Nick Jr., right? He was regular Nick
Yeah,
programming.
just like afternoon, wasn't he?
Yeah, afternoon time.
Yeah. I like Stickly. He didn't
he was
bother me like
good.
Face. Face was
Yeah.
too all
Stickly
over
wasn't
the
a
place. Yeah.
I used to a couple of my cousins used to call me Stickly when I was little. So I was so
That's-
skinny.
that's hysterical.
Those bastards.
That's inappropriately when I went to the gym today and I saw, I don't know if it was on a van or if it was a storefront, but it said Stickly on it. I was like, oh, that's perfect timing. You know,
Nice.
that jogged my memory. I was like, oh, we didn't mention Stickly last time around.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was
Good
like a little bit
character.
later on. I feel like that they introduced him.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we're gonna go into the meat of our episode now.
Ooh.
So we even had a few people mention, they're like, hey, you know, you guys forgot a whole bunch of shows on your part one, but we said, you know, just wait. We did live action shows, but that did not encompass
your horses.
game shows. Nick game shows were a big deal for us.
Mhm.
There were a bunch of them. Hell yeah, there were a bunch of them. They were great. It was just like, you know, they show them in a block, and like we said in the first episode, you could just come home from school, put on Nick, and watch a whole variety of programming, and it was all awesome. So let's dive right into the game shows now, and we're gonna go with the one that started it all, Double Dare.
Nice.
Did you guys like Double Dare growing up?
Loved it.
Yeah, how could you
Loved
not?
it.
Mark
course.
Summers.
Yeah. Mark Summers, when we were kids, was just like the ultimate host. He seemed like this cool, exciting, fun guy. You know, he's very colorful. He's, you know, all over the place. He's wacky. He dressed.
Extremely
It's
90s.
like if you took the years 1987 through 1992 and made them into a wardrobe, that's exactly what Mark Summers was wearing for those years. Went back and watched some Double Dare, and actually, Scales, so you mentioned the orange years in our last episode, the documentary. So I
Did you
watched
watch it?
that after we filmed our first episode,
Nice.
and it was great to see. It was really cool. I recommend anybody who liked Nickelodeon to go watch that. It's on Hulu. Watching the Double Dare episodes, Mark Summers is not quite how I remembered him as a child. All that stuff that we just said, he's like, I felt like he would get irritated really quickly. It seemed like he didn't want to be there. I still like Mark Summers. I'm not trying to, you know, shit on him, but he like anytime that he had to repeat the question twice, because if you never watched Double Dare, the host at Mark Summers would ask a question to one side. If the team didn't know the answer, they could dare the other team to answer it, and the question went up in the point value, you know, however much money was worth. If that team didn't know, they could double dare and throw it back to the first team who was asked a question. And if they didn't know the answer, they would take a physical challenge. And if they passed the physical challenge, then they got the money for the answer. Anytime that I saw Mark Summers had to read the question a second time, it was like he was looking around trying to find if like maybe he could pull a shit to give out of thin air, but really couldn't. Would never read the question verbatim the third time. It was just like this truncated, just like, all right, do you know it now? And I think I sent you guys a clip of one I was watching where the team didn't know the answer. It was like, you know, it was ghostwriter was the answer, you know, for someone who like writes a book and doesn't get the credit for it. And he says like, it's like, never heard of ghostwriter? It almost looked like he wanted to like, you know, take off his mic and just walk backstage, and you know, that was it. But that aside, I mean, it was a novel concept for a show. I mean, it's an exciting premise. You know, it's like, all right, I don't know the answer. I'm going to dare the other team, but it's like, then the strategy too. It's like, maybe they don't know it, and I kind of have an idea of what it might be, and they might double dare us back and we'll get more money for it. Or bottom line is, who wants to answer questions? You're there to do the physical challenge. You're a kid. You want to go there and get dirty. Some of them were so hard too.
Oh,
a
God,
lot of them
impossible.
The challenges were ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, who thinks they're actually in a room thinking of these things? Like, all right, balance on one toe while throwing something underneath your left leg, and the other person has to catch it while jumping. What? It's ridiculous.
And I think in the documentary, Scales, didn't they mention that there was one time the contestants had to search for something in a pool?
Oh, and it wasn't even there. The flag.
Yeah, they're going crazy looking for it, and it wasn't there.
The flag was never there, and I felt so bad.
Yeah.
Oh man.
And then let's talk for a minute about how completely impossible the last set of physical challenges is. Like, they lay out like 8 or 10 different things that you have to do, and it's like, and if you can complete all this in 7 seconds, you get all these prizes. What I will say is that they gave pretty legit prizes. Like when they said how much all the prizes were worth, it's like, damn, that's a pretty nice dollar amount, even for
then.
Yeah.
Was it always some British Knights sneakers?
BK.
Some BKs.
Yep.
Gotta be. That's how you had your street cred.
Yeah, exactly.
Either that or LA gear with lights.
LA gear, yeah.
Oh God, LA gear. Those are the best.
But yeah, Double Dare was great. And then there were all the different iterations: Family Double Dare, Super Double Dare, Double Dare. Yeah,
Double Dare.
But then we took it into a little more athletic territory. And we went with do you have it? Guts. Great show. Little Mike O'Malley. I thought I was waiting for you to cue up a sound clip there. I saw you. I was like, oh, maybe I should be quiet.
One,
In studios in Orlando, Florida. Welcome to Guts.
I don't know. I think that's an awesome theme. Like it just like got you moving.
got you
Yeah.
pumped up. It's like
Great,
jock jams.
absolutely. Yeah, exactly.
I wanted to be on
That's-
Guts so bad. Oh man.
Oh yeah, you
Oh, it's so cool.
as I'm sure we'll say, you watch all those segments, you're like, I could do that. These kids suck. I could do that so much better.
Except for one. We'll get into this, the games later. Yeah.
But yeah, Mike O'Malley, great, exciting host. Rare pictures and videos of him not wearing a hat. I wasn't aware that he had a top of his head until recently. And with his, faithful co-host Mo.
Let's go to Mo.
Go to Mo.
Mo.
Results.
Was she British or Australian? I can never tell.
I think she was British. I think it was British, wasn't she?
I assume she was Australian. I don't know.
I thought Australian.
We're gonna have to look this up.
Yeah.
But yeah, some of the contests on there were so elaborate. You're like in pools,
Yeah.
everybody's getting soaking wet. But what cracked me up was they would talk about they have expert stunt coordinators for all these things, and it's like you got some poor bastard like jumping off a high thing and then just being suspended by a bungee cord like he's in a like a baby swing. There was always the kids that weren't tall enough or heavy enough to make the bungee cord work, and they're just probably just getting wedgies the entire time and trying to get thrown back up onto the platforms for some Nerf archery or basketball game.
Basketball, yeah.
Or football, yeah.
Yeah. There's the ones riding the bike around the track, I think.
I feel like a majority of those people that were like helping the kids out all had mullets.
Oh
yeah, there was a lot of mullets.
There was a lot of mullets there.
There's probably a section on the resume. Not riding on bikes. They were in these moon shoes or something. Yeah. I've watched a little bit of an episode like a week or so ago, and this one kid just ate it like 3 times going around the track. I was like, it was at the point where it wasn't even funny anymore.
Jesus,
I just felt bad for him.
Yeah. What were you going to mention that seemed impossible? Like you could...
So before I get to the impossible one, there's like the mini obstacle course one that they do where they walk across the tightrope, and then there's like all the little strings that they have to go through. And like some kids would just go for it, right? They would just like dive in, and that's how you get through. And then there was some that were apprehensive, and they're like sneaking through, taking them like 20 seconds to get to this thing. It's like, oh, you're done.
Yeah.
I like
cut them out.
Mike O'Malley's like commentary on this stuff. He's like, all right, obviously going a little slower here. Really got to pick it up. Yeah, all right, you gotta really speed up here. And it's like, can they hear him? I don't even know, but it's just I don't know.
Better off if they could have. The other one was the pool with the rowing with the jet streams coming at you. Like I watched 3 episodes, and like 90% of these kids like didn't
even move.
The timer ran out. Like they couldn't go anywhere. It's like, how hard is this? Jesus.
It was like fire hoses on each side.
And the pool's only like, I don't know, 5 feet wide. It's like you don't have any room to maneuver past these freaking fire hydrants.
Yeah, that was pretty ridiculous. What team did you root for? Was there a color you always rooted for?
I didn't have a color. I just whatever kid seemed the coolest, I think I went for.
Yeah, same for me. I didn't really
for some reason
color over like
cool. You didn't go, yeah. I almost always went for purple for some reason. Again, Donatello favorite turtle.
Oh wow, you're just
favorite team. Even though red's my favorite color, never went for red, and red never won.
No, blue or purple.
Red was always like the worst one. It was always purple or blue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, you'd be remiss to mention the aggro crag.
Of course,
the finale. Yeah. Which at second rewatching it, it didn't look as hard as I remembered it as a kid.
I remember it being like impossible.
Yeah.
Oh.
But I was just going up like stairs and like a little, like maybe not stairs all the time, but like it's really not that steep of an incline. Like
I think it's just
jets of air flying at you. I'm like, that's it.
Exactly.
Confetti coming out.
I feel like maybe the harder thing
temple
was
guards.
Yeah.
I feel like the harder thing was probably finding the sensor. Maybe it was obscured a little bit.
Yeah. The one I watched, the girl had to go all the way back down from the top because she missed one. It's like, come on, you couldn't have told her earlier on. Poor kid.
Come on, Mike.
And I liked it better when it was just the aggro crag, because then it jumped the shark. It was like the mega crag and the super mega aggro crag. It's like, what's
It's like
the difference?
it's like those Street Fighter games after a while. Super Ultra Mega
Turbo
Super
Alpha.
Turbo Mega Street Fighter 2.5.
Yeah, it's the only game that has 19 different games that are all number 2. We're gonna take it back to Mark Summers real quick. What would you do?
What would you do?
Another great theme song. So, in keeping with what we said about Nickelodeon the first time around, great theme songs for these shows. Although I don't know, Double Dare, I don't even, if it had a theme song, I can't remember it. So
it had like just like the instrumental, I guess. Like in the first physical challenge that they'd open the show with.
Right.
Yeah.
But what would you do? Great theme song, and I think that
Mark Summers obviously liked doing that better.
Absolutely, that's what I was gonna say. He seems a lot more at home, a lot happier, because you know what it is. And I actually thought it before I watched the Orange Years, and then hearing what he said, and it kind of confirmed it. He wasn't looking to work with kids. Like, he was looking to make it as a TV host. And I think that he just took Double Dare because that was his way of getting on TV. And it's like, all right, I'll deal with the kids as I have to. But what would you do was a mix of kids and adults. I know he also had, a battle with OCD, and probably maybe was more under control by the time he was hosting What Would You Do. But he just seems a lot happier, a lot more affable. As it's more varied. It's not just asking questions. It's like putting people in ridiculous scenarios and then eventually having them pied.
He's dealing with the crowd more adults, less interaction. I don't know. It always kind of reminded me of like a more of a kid's version of Let's Make a Deal, but like, without like the specific kind of prizes. But it's similar interactions with people. I don't know.
It's a good call.
Yeah. It was a fun show. Like, even if you watch the intro
and that was
the stuff that he's doing. What'd you say?
And that was it. And just listen to the music, because the music
exactly. Over and over and over. But you could see like he's having more fun. It just looks more fun. And everything had to do with pies. So it was either the pie pod where you sat in a chair and just got pies thrown at you, or was the pie
talking about a Beats?
No beats.
No.
Could you imagine? Just getting hot pizza thrown at you.
Oh my god.
Or riding a coaster through a wall of pizza.
Oh wow, that's rough.
Nickelodeon giving kids 3rd-degree burns. But I didn't really get to go back and watch that much, because What Would You Do is not on Paramount Plus, unfortunately. But didn't they used to poll the audience? Like, he would ask a question and the audience would say yes or no for a certain scenario.
I think so.
I don't remember that part. I wasn't able to watch too much. I got some of it in, but I was on the YouTube route.
Yeah, I watched like parts of one episode, and the one part I watched was kind of cool. They had this a boy from the audience, and he had to his mom, they took her off the show early on, and they brought her to the back, and they had like a Universal Studios horror creature makeup artist, and they took her and like 3 other moms, and they made them look like the creature from the Black Lagoon and all these crazy looking things, and he had to figure out which one his mom was, or else he'd get pied. And if he got it right, she got pied. So I was like,
that's hilarious.
Awesome.
That's awesome. I remember I don't remember what it was that he had to eat, but a guy in the military was chosen out of the crowd, and had to eat something gross, and Mark Summers said to him, he's like, yeah, well, is it better than what they give you in the military? He's like, yeah.
Nice.
All right, Nick Arcade.
Yes. How's Mikey doing?
With the very energetic Phil Moore.
Oh yeah, lots of energy.
Now, I went back and watched a couple of them on Paramount Plus, and he's a great host.
Yeah, he is.
And I want to just say, not just slamming Mark Summers. I love Mark Summers as a host. It's just the Double Dare. He was like a little more off-putting. Yeah, it was like it wasn't what I remembered, but
makes you excited about video games and all that. He's good.
Yeah, he just never at a loss for words. Like, always has something funny or entertaining to say, I felt like. And he kept the game moving well. Didn't he use it when the pop quiz would come up, when he do the popping sound?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think that was a little later on, because I watched a few early ones. It's like I could swear when he said pop quiz, make the sound. But that was a cool game to go on as a kid. You got to answer questions, you got to play video games, and then if you were lucky enough, you went into the video game.
Impossible.
Yeah,
I'm assuming did they make some of their own just for beginning portions of it, certain, because it looked like some of the stuff was maybe they made themselves, and then there were obviously some games you picked up, you're like, oh yeah, okay.
Right.
Well, the first game that you had to play, I guess, to see who had control of Mikey and the board, even Phil Moore, I think, was he's like, it's Pong. He's like, we got away with Pong. That's all it was. They just repackaged it and made it that it was in a brain or something. Yeah,
different themes. Yeah,
it was basically Pong. So if anybody hasn't watched that show, you play a video game in the beginning, which is glorified Pong, and then you would have to direct Mikey, who was the mascot of the show, around a map and avoid bad guys, and then answer questions, get points, but you had to get to the end. And the few episodes I watched this time, nobody got anywhere near the end. Everybody made it three squares. Yeah. And then going into that video game at the end, I remember as a kid thinking, it's I'd ace that. I'd be so good at it. And then as an adult, I thought back, I watched an episode once. It's I'd be lost. I couldn't do it now.
Yeah, on the Orange Years, they showed behind the scenes, and oh my god, this is basically impossible. You're in this whole green screen area. Basically, some of them have stairs, some of them don't. But the way that you can see what you're doing is a little TV monitor. It probably wasn't even that big. You'd have to look at that from far away to see what the hell's going on. It's oh my god, no wonder half these kids couldn't make it out of the first level.
It's like the weathermen when they do the weather report. I think it's something like that, except the weatherman is tracking a storm, not trying to jump over a storm that's getting shot at him. And then that last room, it's you're going upstairs and downstairs, and you gotta go here and crazy.
So I was watching one episode, and I have to say, I lost it at one quiz question that he asked the kids. Nobody even smirked or smiled, and I lost it.
Is this the Yellowstone one?
This is a different one. This is so he goes, he's like, all right, so which one of these names is a tribe living in Africa? Is it A, the Hottentot, B, Pygmy, or C, Danny DeVito? What?
Obviously it's C.
And the kids are like,
they weren't sure.
Pygmy? Yes. I'm no even remarked oh yeah, by the way, it's not C, Danny DeVito. What?
Phil Moore didn't even say anything after?
Nothing. There was no remark to it at all. And I'm like, okay. And I was watching, I think it was the same episode I was watching too. It just so the kids, they make it to the final video game, they get kind of close to the end, but they basically just kind of run out of time. And literally, the timer ends and the camera just cuts to him and he's like, oh, they didn't make it. See you next time. And then it ends. I'm like,
you're running low on time.
I was like, geez, they didn't even have them come out, talk about it's just oh, the timer ran out. See you guys next time. Later. And then, his bubbly kind of moving hey. Okay.
Oh, Phil.
And how do you describe Phil Moore's wardrobe? I think it would be if you invented 4 new colors, put them on a parachute, and then tuck them into a pair of normal sized pants, you have Phil Moore's wardrobe.
That's perfect.
My answer is C, Danny DeVito.
Yeah, at that point, then Danny DeVito comes out in Austin Powers when he's a mini-me, he's like, "Hey, asshole!"
It's me, mini-me. The announcer he would do a little witty one-liner to introduce him at the beginning of every show.
Yeah,
the one I watched, I can't remember it word for word, but it was something to the effect of, he's more of the real deal than Evander Holyfield. Didn't even say Evander Holyfield. I was like, oh my god. Did you run this by anybody? Did they prep you to say the name right? Come on. Yeah.
I remember watching this with you guys, in college, we randomly looked up Nick Arcade on YouTube, and I don't remember the exact question or the exact answer, but it was the name of the answer was supposed to be a national park, and the answer was, I think, Yellowstone.
Oh yeah, what was?
And the girl goes, Yogi Bear.
Yogi Bear.
I remember that.
Yes,
yeah.
Yogi Bear is a national park. And I think even Phil Moore was like lost for a second. He's like, no.
Wow.
Good grief.
Yeah,
Good
what a
grief,
show.
Charlie Brown.
What a show.
Oh God.
Cut one more thing on it. Just like, so the team would have to go up and play the stand-up arcade game, right? And your teammate would have to wager on how much points you would earn or whether you'd hit it or not.
Yeah.
Like some of them, they're like wagering that they're not gonna make it. I'm like, damn, that's a dick move. Like, what kind of partner are you?
I mean, I'm sure these kids never like met, or they met like what, half hour before they.
Yeah, probably.
You know, probably didn't like each other. Some of them.
Yeah.
And they made the wager on a Magnadoodle, and I was like, I have a Magnadoodle too. I'm pretty cool.
That was awesome.
All right, so bringing it now to Legends of the Hidden Temple, which just might be the granddaddy of them all.
Uh-oh. You hear that? Let's rock.
Oh, he's up. He's dancing.
Oh, there it is. Well, he's got the shirt on.
Oh, snap.
Nice. I was looking for my Green Monkeys shirt. I could not find it.
Ah.
Wow. So, I mean, I guess even before we talk about the show, we're just going to go straight into it. Who are your favorite teams?
Green
on this
Monkeys.
show?
Silver Snakes. Let me guess,
just,
you're a Purple Parrots guy.
No.
Red Barracudas. There's Red Jaguars.
Yeah. So,
Wait,
the only team I hated.
Parrots?
No, it's I don't even have to look. All right. It's the Red Jaguars,
Red Jaguars.
the Blue Barracudas, the Green Monkeys,
Purple
the Purple
Parrots,
the
that's it.
Orange Iguanas,
Mm-hmm.
the Silver Snakes. Did I miss any?
And the Green Monkeys. Did you say Green Monkeys?
I said the Green Monkeys,
Yeah,
I think.
I think that's
Now, I would normally go for the Red Jaguars. The Silver Snakes were a close second.
Mm.
And otherwise it was the Blue Barracudas, and I hated the Green Monkeys.
Oh,
What?
damn. He always goes against Duff for effect.
No, Duff goes against me.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it's not my fault that he just happens to like all the things that I don't.
If I have a log, and as soon as I find it, I'll put it up on our page.
What was that one?
What's that?
I couldn't hear that one. I don't know why I'm putting my ear up to my microphone. Like, if I do that, I'll hear it better. It's been a rough week. But yeah, Legends of the Hidden Temple, hosted by Kirk Fogg, because he should have gotten hired just for his name alone.
Yeah. Those sweet cargo shorts.
Oh, yeah.
That's I was gonna say it.
Oh, I forgot about those.
Such an awesome show. The ambiance of it was so cool. Just the setting, that's like you felt like you were in South America somewhere where they just happened to set up a stage and commercialize everything. But Olmec, yeah. And I remember the first time hearing Olmec in school, because the Olmecs, I think, were a tribe, an indigenous tribe in South America. And the Olmec, it was one of those like, I know it. I've heard Olmec before. Like, I see where they got that now. All right, I got you. But yeah, cool show where you got to do interesting stunts again and answer questions, but totally different from the other ones. Guts is really the only one that we've mentioned where there's no questions to ask. That's just an action show.
Yep.
So Legends of the Hidden Temple, that first one that they had to do, like in the moat.
Yeah.
It looks very frustrating.
Yeah, there was a couple different things they would do, but generally it was always in the water.
Yeah. And I remember I was watching it kind of recently, and there were I think it was a team of 2 girls, and they had to throw a rope across, and it was obviously farther than they could throw it. And it was just like, it was like torture watching this poor girl try to get the rope
Some of the
across.
kids just like give up after a while. They're just like,
Yeah. Yeah, no, she kept trying. It was just like, all right,
Right.
Can you
just
imagine
call it.
like spending your whole life wishing to get on the show and then you don't even get it past like the first 2 minutes of the game show? It's
Yeah.
gonna be so like defeating,
Well,
deflating.
it's okay because I don't know if you watch that. Usually, the first prize after you get it is like nerds. You get it, lots of nerds. I'm like, really? That's the best they can do for these poor kids that went out in the first round. Come on, you can do better than that.
For your poor efforts, you get cavities and a trip to the dentist.
I saw that and I was like, wait, I don't remember this. Was it really that bad? Because they usually give out good prizes, but they really did not go all out for him in that first round.
Well,
certainly not.
Olmec was expensive to, all that upkeep to.
Oh,
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't any British Knight. What Ratchtex? Wasn't any PK Knight? Whatever.
Yeah.
But that just shows that Legends of the Hidden Temple started just a little bit later than the other shows. I feel like, where British Knights wouldn't be a thing, and I guess maybe they, blew their budget on all those prizes they gave out on Double Dare because
Yeah,
a
like
lot of money here.
trips to base camp and things like that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I always wanted to go to space camp as a
Me
kid.
too.
Yeah.
Maybe we could
That would
cover
be-
that. Isn't there a movie they made about that too?
What is it?
Isn't it like Space Camp where the kids accidentally, they think that they're in a simulation, but they accidentally get like in a space shuttle and they get launched up there and they have to figure out how to.
It's a '90s movie. I never heard.
I think it's late '80s, early '90s.
Huh.
It fits right in our wheelhouse.
Well, there you go.
Bix for Duff.
Except I think I remember watching it and liking it, so I would enjoy that.
Okay. You never know when you go back and watch some of these things.
Yeah, that's true. I have not seen it in a very long time, so.
But yeah, so Legends of the Hidden Temple, there was that first challenge. Was there another one after that? Because then there was the steps of knowledge, or
That was next. Was the steps of knowledge with.
and then there was another physical test after that.
There was two.
Yeah, there was two of them. Yep, and some of
Yeah.
them were really hard.
Yeah.
Like they would make these challenges like really difficult. Where there was there was one where they were almost like on like a pulley system, and they'd have to use the counterweight to like one kid jumps up and the other one falls down, and like they couldn't figure out like basic like physics and how to like really work it. And I don't know.
Yeah, a lot of ropes involved and like Velcro.
Wet slides. Like there's like and they got to climb backwards up it and like hold a big cannonball or something.
Yeah. But hey, it's you really got to earn those pendants of life. That isn't.
They're very.
They don't even
They're
matter
very
at
important.
certain points, though. Come on,
Yeah.
they make
Very
it so
important.
damn hard.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to get to that temple run and put together the, for some reason, dreaded silver monkey and the Shrine of the Silver Monkey,
Don't even get me started.
the 3-piece thing that everybody's like, I don't like, I can't, I don't know. I mean, there's a bottom, there's a bottom, there's a middle, and a top.
And it points toward the crowd. It doesn't point inward, so you see the monkey's ass. Good lord!
It's like, have you seen a monkey before? Have you seen any animal before? Do you know how this works? Like, if you have a foot, it goes on the bottom.
So frustrating every time. God.
But if I were ever on that show, I would not make it through the temple run because I would defecate in my pants if the temple guard came out.
No, exactly.
Is there a temple guard coming out from behind you?
The temple guard coming in right now. Yeah,
Your
temple
door
guard
just opened.
in comes my temple guard.
Oh,
we have a fan.
Canine temple guard.
Well, I hope you have a pendant of life because that temple guard is going to get you.
Yeah.
You're wearing your green. The green monkey's always won, I felt like.
Oh yeah.
That's why
I don't know. I'd be interested to see what the statistics were. Like,
yeah, I'm gonna look those up.
I think I didn't like them because I was always rooting for the red team, and I felt like the green monkeys always won, and it aggravated me. So they were, written off in my book.
Yeah, there's those challenges. I mean, even the final, the final levels.
Yeah,
I was watching. It's like I'm pretty sure that the stage or something was flawed because they'd go up and they'd smack the door, nothing would happen. They do exactly what they're supposed to do. The door is not opening. So, the guy's like, oh no, you got to try it again. Maybe you got to go back the other way. Oh no, you got to do this. And then they go back to the same exact door, hit the button, and now it works. I'm like, come on, that's not fair.
Somebody forgot to unlock it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, Bill backstage forgot to press the button for, door number 3 or something.
Yeah, meanwhile, you're sloshing around and shitting your shoe from when the temple guard grabbed you and you gave
Oh,
up there, pinned it alive.
Oh, why did you have to give it to him? Why couldn't you just keep running? It's like, all right, you got to catch me.
I would love to know how many temple guards got like a punch in the face or like a kick in the
man.
nuts or something,
I'm sure
on an episode that didn't get aired.
Had to happen. Had to have
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah, that's
Sure.
terrifying. Good grief. We're going to move now to a show that said to salute my shorts, hold my beer as far as the video production quality. Wild and Crazy Kids.
Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah.
Great theme song though.
Oh yeah, and just a great show, but the video
Wild and
quality
Crazy.
is like it's like they filmed it through the
Crazy.
mist in the agrocrack.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. Yeah, it was.
Oh,
As Duff sings the theme. Yeah, great theme song.
Very,
It's like epitome
very
of the 90s.
kind of guts related, regarding like just how it's a little more sports related kind of stuff
Yeah.
that they would do, like activities and stuff. But yeah, some of those the two guys early on. I wrote down their names: Don Jeffcoat and Omar Gooding.
Donnie
Omar
Jeff
Gooding.
Coat and Omar
Those,
Gooding.
both of those two, it's like you see them and you're like, oh my god, I know them, and then
Yeah.
you're like, what have they been in? And it was nothing really that I watched, but I feel like they were in
Yes, it is.
here and there, all over the place.
Yes, it is. Come on. Omar Gooding was a mainstay on TGIF. He was in Hanging with Mr. Cooper.
I know that. I'm just saying, but it
Forgot he
wasn't
was
like
on that.
yes, and like again, I wasn't crazy about hanging with Mr. Cooper. It was just more of a thing where it's like I'd see him bits and places like everywhere, and I looked up
Yeah.
their IMDb's, both of them, and they were like basically in everything. They were in every show imaginable, but just sometimes they had a longer stay, sometimes shorter stay.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't know, they were two very recognizable people. That's
Yeah.
what I was.
Yeah.
Omar Gooding was in a show that I mentioned to you guys once before on ESPN. It was called Playmakers. It was a football show that ran for a season. He was good in
Yeah.
that. And it's funny because he was our entry point to the Gooding family, because I remember when I heard of Cuba Gooding Jr., I was like, I wonder if there's any relation, and they're brothers.
Are they really?
Yeah.
I didn't know
They,
that.
they look
Yeah.
they look a little related.
They do. Now that I think about it, I never even.
And it's
Yeah.
funny because hearing of Cuba Gooding Jr. was like, who's this other Gooding? He can't possibly be as good as Omar, because Omar was the man, to us kids. And it's like, oh yeah, he's a good actor. He's probably a better one. But no trivia, just like Guts, like you said, it's more sports related. But it's cool because it had all these, segments in between where it gave the co-hosts a chance to shine, like flex a little, comedic and acting muscle, these little skits here and there. Omar was always my favorite, and I hated Donnie. I hated Donnie as a kid.
Yeah.
And I realize now, like, if I were on the show like that, I'd be Donnie, because I'd be the
Yeah.
one playing, the jerk, because it's just more fun that way. So I found him entertaining. I never had any use for either of the two girl co-hosts on there. I don't really know why, because they're adequate. Their personalities weren't as out there as.
I don't remember their names. Yeah.
Annette was one. I forget the other one, because again, this is another one that sadly is not on Paramount Plus, so it's just whatever you can kind of scrounge together on YouTube. But they had fun games. Like, I was watching one just before where kids were hitting baseballs off a tee and breaking windows.
Oh, nice.
That's all, I want to go do that now. And it was kids versus parents. A bunch of stuff was kids versus parents.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
And our boy Mark Summers, I remember, was on an episode. He was, I think, the designated softball pitcher, and he made some kind of joke coming in. I don't remember the pitches he mentioned. He's like, they're like, oh, can you pitch? And he's like, have you heard of Nolan Ryan, Roger Clemens? And like, yeah. He's like, yeah, so have I. And he just walked away.
I think Arnold was on an episode too, if I'm not mistaken.
Was he really?
There was like
awesome.
a beach type one or something that he was on. I vaguely remember him being on it, but like I do remember like he had some sort of pull with it. I don't know.
That's
I will
badass.
say my memories of the show were a lot better than the actual, like going back and rewatching it on YouTube. It's like wasn't as good as I thought it was when I was a kid.
I don't remember the quality, like the picture quality being.
But yeah, the quality, but like even like I watched one where they had a bunch of kids, like probably like middle school kids in the gym, and they were doing like slam dunks off like a trampoline, but it was like I don't know, it was kind of lame. Like I remember it being a lot more cool when I was little, I think.
It feels low budget going back and watching it, but
Yeah.
I think they did some cool stuff on there. Like, I would love to have been on that show. So yeah, here's an impromptu question. If you could have been on any of the shows that we mentioned so far, you can only pick one. Which of the shows would you want to be on?
Does it have to be now,
Any of
or
the
could
game
it be
shows?
back then when we were kids?
Either.
Hmm.
You are of an unspecified age. What show did you want to be on?
Still Guts for me.
Ah,
Yeah, still Guts. Legends of the Hidden
Legends.
Temple. I would crap my pants, like you said. if I ever made it
Legends.
to the final stage.
Legends for me.
I think I would go Guts. And I say Guts because it's one-on-one. I mean, there's three people, but like I would have said I think Wild and Crazy Kids, but it's too team oriented, and I feel
Yeah.
like you don't really get your shake. You don't really get to shine as much.
Yeah,
And Guts, at least you're gonna get to participate in everything.
right.
And Legends of the Hidden Temple, I would love to be on that too. But I mean, if you have someone who can't make a rope throw across the moat,
You're
screwed.
done. But you get nerds, right, Duffy?
Mhm. Yeah, you get nerds. That's your
But
product.
any of those shows would have been awesome to be on. As a little kid, it would have been Double Dare though, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh,
we have one more game show,
Mhm.
maybe two, and I have very little to say about this one, so I'm going to throw it to you guys and see what you think. Figure it out. Did you watch it? I didn't really watch this one.
It was
Every
a
now and then.
little bit more slight voice crack there. It was a little bit more towards the end of like my Nickelodeon viewing days, but I would occasionally tune in. It's Summer Sanders,
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
reason to tune in right there.
ex Olympian swimmer, I think.
Yeah.
I just
Shampoo
remember.
commercial veteran.
I mean, I remember it being a little cheesy. I mean, that's Nickelodeon. It was cheesy.
Yeah.
But the people that were on the panel, and it was very, it was there was an ode to, again, another game show they used to have back in the day, where they would kind of like figure it out. But it was
It's like, what's my line kind of.
that's it. Yep. But yeah, I watched a little bit of it, but I wasn't too crazy
Yeah.
with it. I don't know about you, Scales, if you were.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I used to watch it. I enjoyed it. They used to have like one of the cast of All That, and they had the kid from Pete and Pete on there a lot. So
Pete.
and they'd always get slimed. And someone would get
Little Pete.
slimed. Little Pete, yeah. Yeah, it was fun. It was a good show.
Yeah. I don't know. I still feel like, how the hell are they supposed, like, is a panel supposed to guess some of this stuff? I know they would have like that stupid little head on there, and it'd be like, the blank does the blank off the blank and blank.
The blink
Gotta
of
figure
blanks.
it all out. Oh god. PTSD for a second there. Little sidetrack there. Just back to our college days of I don't know if we want to give a shout out to this guy if he doesn't even deserve it because we still don't have our videos, but we'll save that for another day. That's right, Scales.
Yeah.
I was just watching one where it was like, this kid can somersault off his dad's shoulders while on a moving horse. I'm like,
Okay.
and one of the clues that they had was a delivery guy coming out with boxes. And they're like, and all of the panel was like, what the hell? Like at the end, they were like, what the hell is a delivery guy? Like, how did that work? And they're like, oh, they're moving. I'm like, no. I don't know.
God.
Some of it was very frustrating, and I'm like,
Yeah,
how do they figure
vague.
this stuff out? Yeah. And I also feel like they kind of pushed it a little and like guessed stupid stuff so that the kids would win the majority of the time too.
Yeah, I think so.
I just have to mention, because you said something about the horses. Very quickly, I was watching Wild and Crazy Kids before, and one of the games that they were playing is donkey basketball, where they had to get on a donkey and try to shoot the basketball. And it's like,
What?
it's like, this isn't going to work.
Thinks of that?
And pretty much the donkey
Donkey
trainers like, yeah, they're stubborn. They don't really do what you want them to do. It's like,
That was good
thinks-
planning.
But who thinks of that? Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Wild and Crazy Kids.
That's what thinks. My God. All right.
Scales, I think you had one more game that you wanted to mention.
Yeah. There was one like from the, I want to say mid to late '80s, right after Double Dare.
Durber.
Not Durber.
Right after
Double Dare.
It was called Finders Keepers. I remember my brother watching this. I'd watch this with him.
I don't know that one.
Yeah, it's not. I had to
Neither
go
do
back
I.
and watch it on YouTube. Basically, there's like this. It's almost like a house. There's like 8 rooms or something on the stage, and there's questions with clues, and you have to earn your way into the house and then find missing items in these rooms. Or there's like each room is like a huge mess, or you have to, it's not a mess, but you have to tear it apart and make a mess to find this other clue that they're talking about. And if you find all 8 clues, you know, you win the grand prize, whatever, space camp, or, you know, whatever the hell it is. But I always thought it was a different, cool concept, and something different. So I liked it. Finders keepers.
Yeah, no, I never watched that one. Solid.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to look that one up. I
I don't know that one.
I
Yeah,
know
check
that
it
at
out.
all.
I wonder if
Nice.
it would be something I'd watch and be like, oh yeah, vaguely remember that.
You might. Yeah, you might.
I don't know.
All right, I'm going to take us to our final segment here. Each of us is going to choose. So let me lay this out for you. You come home from school in an unspecified year. Parents tell you you can watch TV for 2 hours before you do your homework. You make no Law and Order. What is your ultimate 2-hour Nickelodeon block? It could be any of the shows we discussed. If there's any ones we forgot, you can mention it. It doesn't have. There's no parameters here. It's just doesn't matter what time of day it was on. Doesn't matter what year it was on. You get to do your 2-hour on demand block. Who wants to go first? And then we're gonna come up with the ultimate 2-hour block that we can agree on.
Okay.
If neither of you wants to go first, I'll just shoot. I'll do off the cuff right now.
Yeah, you go.
You got
Lead us off.
I'm going to write this down as I go.
Okay.
Doug, it's got to be there.
Yeah.
Okay.
So going to represent the Nicktoon.
Okay.
Doug's there.
Okay.
This is really tough because I want a live action one. And I'm going to go with Hey Dude.
Oh.
Rewatching those, just like it made me kind of happy. Especially after getting over the initial roughness of the first one. Yeah, thoroughly enjoyed it. Then I'm going to throw in a game show, and I'm going to go with What Would You Do?
Oh, wow. Nice.
Just because I have good memories of watching that when I was younger. I used to love watching that show. There's a lot of variety. It's not the same thing over and over and over. Guts, I feel like or Legends of the Hidden Temple would be the easy one to go with, but I'm going with What Would You Do? I really enjoyed that show growing up. And then I'm going to go with Are You Afraid of the Dark? I have to throw that in there because everything comes back to horror for me at some point.
Wow,
so that would be my block.
All right. Okay.
I could easily be convinced of substituting in and out a lot of these choices. So I don't care who's ready and who's not. Duff, you go. Duff, it's your turn.
I'm going to agree with you on numero uno, coming home, turning it on, and I want to see Doug. That was probably my favorite out of everything that we've talked about. Probably the one that I watched the most out of everything we talked about. And I'm going to kind of create a little bit of a sandwich here. So we're going to start with Doug, and then we're going to go into game shows next. We're going to go the route of Guts, and then we're going to follow that up with Legends of the Hidden Temple. I want to, a little back-to-back action there. And then
rock.
And then I'm gonna
Scales, ladies and gentlemen.
Always love chocolate.
Oh, I didn't know that. And then I'm gonna finish us off here. So I got
Please
Doug,
don't.
Guts, Legends of the Hidden Temple, and I'm gonna finish us off with Salute Your Shorts. I think that's
solid choices.
Nice little block right there that would make me very, very happy.
Yeah,
Right.
That's great programming right there.
How about you, Mr.
Some fine programs.
Programs?
Are you ready for mine?
I don't know.
Wait.
Ooh,
Okay, now I'm ready.
there's 2 that I love.
There's
You
only
say?
one that I love. And her name is Linda Ellerby.
That I love.
I want 2 hours of Nick news. No, I'm just kidding. No. Duffy, you took my 4 picks, although, we're such good friends that it's not surprising that we would have the exact 4 same choices.
So then that's fine.
That's fine too. Go for it.
Those are the exact 4 I was going to pick was Doug, Salute Your Shorts, Guts, and Legends of the Hidden Temple. Those are my 4 favorites.
If you were to swap any of them out, what was your alternate?
I love Coke.
If I were to swap any out, it'd probably be Salute Your Shorts, and maybe I'd swap it out for Rugrats.
So
Yeah.
creamy and delicious. And
Oh my god. Oh, you're sick, man.
Oh God.
I was always cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
I don't where did the creamy and delicious line come from? Where did we even
Thanksgiving.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah, the
God.
mac and cheese.
Mac and cheese comment. I heard that and I was like, gold.
Oh man.
Because you had to say it just like that too.
It's so
Always love
creamy and
chocolate.
delicious. All right, so
I
it
hate
seems
you.
like I'm severely outnumbered with my choices. So
I mean, we all agreed on Doug.
yeah. All right, so
And I mean,
let's
you
talk-
have an excellent lineup there. It's just
so
it's
let's talk.
hard to pick just four. You know?
All right, so
Yeah.
let's talk this out then. So
All right.
Doug is in.
Yes.
Now we have 2 game shows on there. Do we definitely want to keep 2 game shows on there?
I love game shows.
Me too. I don't know. I just think it gives a little bit of, I don't know.
I look forward to game shows more than regular shows. That's just me as a kid. I like the competitive aspect of it. And
I'm a
that's
little
just me.
surprised that you didn't pick All That.
You know, that was on my short list. In my head, I'm still thinking like, even though it wasn't part of the rules, I'm thinking Snick, and I'm like, well, I'll save some of these for Snick. This is
is all I-
This
this
is
is
the
all
afternoon
I-
block.
This is all I just heard.
So now timer starts.
All I just heard.
So nobody would have heard that one before. That's a complete blooper. We have a gag reel that we're working on, so that'll be
Oh,
coming
yeah.
out sometime.
Yes.
That'll probably not be PG-13 language wise.
Yeah, that'll definitely have to be. You know, we'll make sure that we cover our butts with that.
All right, so Doug, Guts, Legends of the Hidden Temple.
I'd be willing to compromise and take one of the game shows out for something for you. I do that.
I'm fine with it. I mean, hey, listen, I put in What Would You Do just because I had good memories watching it and it was a little bit of variety. So I totally understand choosing Guts and Legends of the Hidden Temple because it's really hard to pick between those 2. And if you're going to put in one, might as well have the other 2.
What
But-
was your live action? Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Coke is my
I had-
favorite.
I had Hey Dude and Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Mm.
So
I'd be willing to throw Are You Afraid of the Dark in there in
In place of
place of.
I'm fine with Salute Your Shorts though too, because it was tough picking Hey Dude over Salute Your Shorts.
I would throw Are You Afraid of the Dark. I'd be okay with
I
that, but I don't know.
I think for the sake of variety, maybe Are You Afraid of the Dark?
yeah, I'm okay with that.
Just
I'd
because
throw
everything
that.
else, we have comedy, coming of age in Doug, and cartoon.
Yep.
And then we have 2 game shows in a row. Why not do something a little different?
I'm all right with that.
Which one are we taking out, Guts or Legends?
No,
Neither.
neither. Take out
Neither.
Salute
We're,
Your
we're
Shorts.
taking out Salute Your Shorts
Okay.
to have Are You Afraid of the Dark? Are we okay with that?
I can live with that.
We don't have to. I see some hesitation on Duff's face.
I'll live with it.
And
I'll live with it.
you'll live with it?
I'll live
I
with
mean,
it.
I can be notoriously difficult. So please, take this moment. Think about it. I'm not pushing for it.
Thinking and agreeing. We're good.
So let it be written. So let it be done.
Wow.
The Technodrome has decided that the ultimate 2-hour Nick block to watch coming home from school before you do your homework is Doug, Guts, Legends of the Hidden Temple, and Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Did you say honey and not?
The ultimate bottom tooth. So I think that's
That's
2
solid.
damn good
solid.
hours of
Great.
programming.
Very solid.
Yeah.
And
Agreed.
just
I beg
thank
someone
you.
to find a better 2 hours.
you never bite a better burger than a Bubba.
That's right.
Creamy.
I just have to say thank you to Nickelodeon as an entity for
yeah. Really.
so many years of great TV watching. And when you think about it, I said so many years, but like it's so many years that it's stuck with us. But how many years did we really watch it? Like I didn't have cable till the early 90s. Duff, you had cable intermittently. So it's not like we were watching it from late 80s onward. Would we have like a 4-year run where we were really watching these shows intently and still talking about them, still watching them on Paramount Plus, like doing this episode, and our research has been a pleasure. We got to relive those times, fun, more innocent times. Definitely brought me back to like, what was I doing watching these shows? I remember I used to play basketball in my living room, one of those like on the top of the door frame.
Oh, nice.
Oh yeah.
So especially during like the shows like Guts or whatever, get amped up and start playing that. But yeah, it was the perfect thing. Just came home and you didn't have to worry about what was on TV. So
put on Nick and set it and forget it.
Yeah, exactly. Precisely.
On Popeil, baby.
Yeah. But any closing thoughts from either of you gents?
Always love chocolate.
I still love chocolate. Yes.
Damn sound.
I love orange soda. I do.
I was always cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
See? I love chocolate. I don't lie.
Like kind of like a whole blast to the mouth. It's too much.
Any thoughts that aren't coming from a soundboard before this whole episode just
goes off the rails? Yeah, I mean,
I already can't keep it together.
I have similar sentiments, obviously, as you cast. Even though it was such a short period for us watching, but it was such formative years. Like we said, Nick Jr. right in the wheelhouse of when we were in kindergarten, and then getting into all the good Nick live action shows and game shows as we were like 8, 9, 10 years old. I mean, we couldn't have really asked for anything more as a kid growing up. I'm just, I don't know. I'm getting all sentimental, but it makes me just being grateful for the time we were growing up in.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I gotta throw a little plug. We didn't talk about it. Maybe we'll talk about some shows at some point, but Nick at Night was a whole separate thing.
Yeah.
Getting to watch all those shows from the past, our parents and grandparents' generation.
I always used to know it was time for bed when the Alfred Hitchcock show was coming on. So
yes.
I was a little nervous, a little scared of it. I never got past the opening segment where he'd walk into his silhouette, and I was like, turn it off.
Good evening. I'm Alfred Hitchcock.
Yeah, a lot of those shows I remember watching, like, on reruns when I was a little kid when my grandmother used to watch me. So like, it like brought back good memories of like some of those shows coming on. I'm like, oh man, like I haven't seen. Well, they had like Bewitched and like I Love Lucy and all those things on there. Yeah, all those classic programming.
Green Acres.
That's like, oh yeah.
Block parties during the summers, like Bewitched Be Wednesdays and whatnot. But yeah, we'll have to get into this, dive a little deeper.
Absolutely.
Time.
At night.
Yeah. So Duff, anything you want to say about Nick before we sign off here?
Just basically carrying the same sentiments you guys have. It's just it brings you back, and like just I think like the things that I loved most is just watching all those little bumpers that they made. It just got me like so pumped up. I'm like, oh my god, I remember watching that, and then like thinking, oh, what's gonna be on next? And it was just another bumper. I'm like, oh wait, isn't Doug supposed to be on, or isn't like I don't know. It's just. But like you were saying, it was a little more intermittent for me. I got a little bit more, I dove a little bit more into it a little later, but still, it still gives me all the feels, very nostalgic of being a kid and just, enjoying quality programming that maybe I'm just a little biased. Maybe you guys agree with me, but I just feel like they don't make stuff like that anymore. I don't know. They just, I don't know. Maybe I am biased.
Yeah,
but I feel like that's the case. Everything is just different nowadays. But I'm probably also this. I'm saying this, and I'm probably going to go outside right now and yell at kids to get off my lawn. I mean,
crusty Duffy.
Yeah, the crusty old man already.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm also wondering like why aren't kids going to school in this snowstorm? And it's like when I was their age, I was waiting at the corner in the like all that stuff.
Yeah.
That's a whole other story we can get into.
Yeah, it's more so you're listening to the radio just to hear if it got canceled.
Absolutely. Or, we're just like putting on the TV guide and like, hey, what's on next? Oh, I just missed the channel. Now I got to wait 10 minutes before the thing scrolls back down because we didn't subscribe to the TV guide to get in the mail. Like,
yep.
Or calling up the number that they have in the newspaper to see what's playing at the movies.
Yeah.
Kids these days just will never know.
Unbelievable.
Can I drop one quote before you sign us off, Cass?
Sure.
There was on that Orange Years, Jerry Laybourne, Jerry Laybourne. She was like the president of Nick during this whole like 84 to 96, so right in the wheelhouse. And when they were in discussions with Universal Studios trying to get Nick Studios on the grounds there, basically she went to the executives at Universal and was like, "We can be your mouse. We can be what Mickey Mouse is to Disney." And I mean, they were and they still are. I mean, they became almost maybe not as big as Disney, but right there.
Yeah.
Huge.
Yeah, that was like what Disney was for kids when Disney first came out. That was what Nickelodeon was for us. And they haven't had quite the same level or quite the same longevity as far as some of their programming. But yeah, that's totally accurate.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Yeah, they definitely started that fire, like Billy Joel. But yeah. So thank you all for joining us on this trip down memory lane. We hope that you enjoyed it, and we hope that you will subscribe to our YouTube channel if you have not already. And if you haven't, shame on you, but not too much shame, because we want you to come back. So like the video if you enjoyed it, subscribe, ring the notification bell, follow us on social media at Throwbacks Technodrome Pod on Instagram and TikTok. That's that other thing. Yeah, and let us know what you think of this episode. Leave a comment. Let us know if you liked it, if you didn't like it. If you didn't like it, you could go stuff it. But constructive criticism helps.
Stuff what?
And yeah, stuff the chocolate that
I was gonna say a pie from Mark Summers.
The one that Burt Reynolds hit him with on
oh yeah,
Jay Leno. We didn't even get to mention that one, but
No.
that's another one for another time.
Yeah.
But yeah, let us know what we're doing, how we're doing, and let us know what you think of the shows that we mentioned. What was your favorite game show? Which one would you want to be on? And what would your top 4 shows be if you were to put together 2 hours of programming? Because I just gave you the power to do so. But until next time, thank you for joining us on this 2-part long deep dive into the best TV of our youth, Nickelodeon. We will see you next time, and hopefully it won't be too long.
See ya.
Bye.
I love Coke.